In the UK, our average annual rainfall is around 750 millimetres or about 30 inches. But of course, as we've seen recently, in some years that can vary enormously. There's also a considerable difference in rainfall across Britain. The prevailing winds bring more rainfall to the high ground in the west of the country, leaving the east in a rain shadow. This rainfall gradient also applies here in the south, where in the New Forest, for example, you find an average annual rainfall of about 900 millimetres. 120 miles to the east, the equivalent figure would be little more than 600 millimetres on the Isle of Thanet. So the climate, the seasons and the geography all produce variations in our rainfall pattern. The problem, though, is that the rain doesn't necessarily fall where it's most needed, and for the urban areas in the southeast, the combination of low rainfall and dense population can sometimes put the public water supplies under considerable strain. After the summers of 1989 and 90, we all know about hosepipe bans, drought orders and restrictions on car washes. So where does our water come from, and could it be better managed? In the southeast, a notable feature of the landscape is the North and South Downs, stretching from Winchester in the west to Beachy Head in Sussex and east to Ramsgate in Kent. These chalk hills possess an important property. They absorb water. Almost all the rain that falls on the downs soaks through the chalk into the deeper layers, which become saturated. This layer of water-bearing rock is known as an aquifer or groundwater, and it's from such natural reservoirs that our supplies in the south and southeast are drawn. 75% from boreholes sunk into the chalk and the remainder from the rivers. Because it's filtered through many fine layers, the water from groundwater springs is of high quality. Clear, hard and alkaline, it's ideal for watercress growing and fish farming. The chalk streams and rivers remain cool in summer and stay relatively warm in winter, supporting a wealth of plants, insects and animals, as well as providing a valuable source of public drinking water. During the year, the groundwater level fluctuates, as the winter rain takes some time to filter down to top up the aquifer. At points where the water table meets the surface, you find a line of springs. In winter, as the groundwater rises above the normal spring line, other springs emerge. In 1825, William Cobbett described them in an account of his rural rides through Hampshire.
In March, or thereabouts, the water begins to boil up in thousands upon thousands of places a little higher up the valley. When the chalk will hold no more, then it comes out at the lowest spots and becomes a rivulet first and then a river.
These seasonal sources, which appear and disappear as the groundwater level fluctuates, are known as winterborns because they only appear when the aquifers are at their highest level in the late winter and spring. During the summer and autumn, they disappear until the next wet season. Springs and winterborns are the visible signs of the huge natural reserves of water below the chalk downs and sandstone areas of the region. These natural reservoirs have considerable advantages over man-made reservoirs because they collect rainfall over a large area and store it at a greater depth. The water quality is also very high and requires the minimum of treatment. And unlike surface reservoirs, water isn't lost by evaporation, and using them produces no impact on the landscape. But as the population in the region grows and our consumption of water per head increases, the good management of water resources becomes essential.